In this video, we're going to learn how to put in a hole and also how to put in a fastener using a drill gun and an impact driver. So this is a drill gun. It has a keyless chuck. That means if I turn this to the left, it opens up these three prongs that stick out to hold the bit. This is a drill bit at 3/16 inch diameter. And so that's what we typically want to use and for our typical screws. And I'm going to go and turn this to the right then. To close that up, and turning to the right as in when I look down the shaft of it that I'm turning to the right clockwise. And I hear the clicks. That means that I got it all the way. I want to put this torque setting on drill, and then that's my speed, 2 or 1. I typically keep it on 2. And then this is backwards or forward. We always want to keep drilling holes on forward. Even if we're pulling the drill out, we've already made the hole, we can just keep it on forward and pull it out. So I'm going to go and make a hole in this block real quick. When I go to do the hole, if I want to drill straight down, it's pretty simple. I don't want to push too hard. I just want to kind of let the drill do the work. And I want to make sure I don't twist the bit when I go in. If I want to drill on an angle, I'm going to start a tiny bit at the first so I have a pocket. Then I'm going to put the drill in sideways, so I take it all the way out. Then I'm going to put it in sideways inside that pocket, and now I'm going to drill straight on that angle. Okay, so now I've drilled my angle. So drilling an angle takes 2 parts. 1 quick pocket straight up and down, 1 on an angle. The reason we don't want to try and drill on an angle right away is that the bit can wander or walk. So we drill a little pocket first, and then we can keep it in that pocket to drill the angle. Okay, so now when we go to put in screws, I want to find a screw that's going to work. So this one's a Phillips head, and the way the screw is designed is it needs a hole first. So I went and I found a Phillips bit inside of this case, and this bit was one of the smaller ones, so it needs something called a screw boss that it fits into. This impact gun has a collar that you pull up, and then that allows this little groove to fit inside of it. And so I'm going to go and click that in, and then when I want to take it out, I pull up. And then when I go to put it in, I have to pull up, throw that in. Same thing, I want it to be to the right, and then my speed settings are up here. The other thing to note is that you could have a Phillips bit that's the right shape, plus sign as well as plus sign, but this one here you can see has been worn down because it's been used too much or incorrectly, and so that doesn't line up well. And then we also have wrong shaped bits, like this is a Torx bit, a star bit. That doesn't work with the Phillips head. And then we also have Phillips screw heads that are too small. So this one would just like give too much wiggle room or play. So we want to make sure that we choose the right Phillips bit that fits snugly for the application. So often very common is a number 2 Phillips bit, which is like a medium-sized Phillips bit. Now this screw here, before I drive this in, and actually before I drilled the hole, I checked to make sure that it's not going to go all the way through both pieces of material. This screw can also be used for exterior applications since it's painted. So it says it's an exterior screw on the package I got it from. That noise is what the impact driver makes. So when you're doing it correctly, it'll sound like that. If it sounds like it's rubbing weird, like that, that means that we're changing the shape of the head of that bit, and that's how this one became deformed. It's because it didn't have good solid contact all the way through. To make solid contact, use the top part of your hand here that's on the gun to be pushing on it. You don't want to push towards the bottom because it'll rock this out. So you want to be pushing down if you can. Take your other hand and push down on it as well. And that'll push straight through the gun, keeping solid contact the whole way. Remember, the screw's moving away from you as you turn it, so you have to push down with it as it turns. So this here is a lag bolt. And so this one has a zinc coating on it, but it's more made for interior applications. It's not galvanized like you saw some of the other fasteners. So you can kind of get a sense of like how shiny this zinc coating is versus this galvanized coating, which is more of a dark gray. So there's a 10 stamped on there. And so that means that it's like amount of material is a little bit more than an 8 penny, but less than a 16 penny. So these are for like structural hangers, and we'll show you those later. This here is a structural screw, and so this one's kind of neat. It's got this little split on it, which means this one pre-drills itself, so you don't need to drill a hole first necessarily, unless you're concerned about the wood splitting and you want to be extra cautious. You can drill a hole first. Otherwise, this one puts in its own drill ahead of itself, and then it actually has this little part here that cuts a countersink for the head to sit in nice and flush and flat. So this one uses a Torx bit or a star bit, and I want to find one that matches with that really well. So I put one in there and I go to spin it, and if it doesn't spin loose in there, then I have the right Torx bit. Torx bits come in all different sizes. This one would have been too thick, so this one's for a little bit thicker of a head on that Torx bit. And so make sure you pick the right size. Oftentimes I see students finding Torx bits that are way too small, and that just causes the shape of the head and the shape of the bit to change because it's incorrect. So to throw this in, it's just gonna tap itself in there so I don't have to drill a hole ahead of time. And it drives itself into the wood really nicely. So we have all kinds of structural bits, and so that one works really well. These you can use in pressure treated wood as well as regular spruce pine fir. This is a roofing nail. This one's a little bit extra long. This is a 2-inch roofing nail. Oftentimes they're like 1.25 or 1.5 inches. And let's see, we have a this is a rib shank on a washer, and so these ones are kind of nice if you need to tack down like a piece of paper that you don't want to move. Like here we see a roll of like Tyvek house wrap, and so usually we staple that down, but you can also use these. Just used a nail head. That paper would rip if a lot of wind blew behind it. It would pull off and rip past it. So this is a washer head nail with a rib shank, and that rib shank helps keep it gripped inside the wood, a little bit extra holding power. These are some deck screws, and these deck screws also have that little sliced tip at the front, and so these ones you don't have to pre-drill either, and so they go in real nice. Oftentimes when you drive screws, you want the head to sit just flush with the top of the wood. You don't want to recess it too deep in unless it's going to be covered by something else. And that's it. Let's drill a hole for this lag bolt, and then let's put it in with the impact gun. So I'm going to pick a head that, or a drill bit that's just about as thick as the shank, but not thicker than the threads. So this one's maybe a little light. I'm going to go one size up from there. That one should be good. And I'm going to go and put that in the this one can fit in either one because of the shape of the bottom. I'm going to throw this in the drill gun. And we're going to check and see. All right, cool, that's not going to go all the way through. I got to drill all the way through the first piece and part way into the second piece, but not much into the second. The reason I want to do that is I want to still give this enough bite at the end of the second piece to grab onto something. I don't want to drill all the way through both because then it has even less to bite into. Okay. Now to put this one in, I have nothing to put this head onto, so I have to use a socket. So we have metric and standard. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to find one that fits really well. So this is the nicest fit. So I'm going to use this socket right here, and this one is a metric 14 socket that works. You'll see that the standard size is close, but it's a little wiggly in there. This one is rock solid. So I got to choose one that's the right size for it. The bit for that, I have this bit right here that it doesn't have the shape that fits inside the impact gun, unfortunately. So I'm going to use the drill gun for this. But this head just kind of pops in, this ball kind of flexes in and snaps into the bit. So the drive end is the square end, and then this is the head. The size is 14. And I'm going to take this out. After you're done drilling, these can be hot, so make sure that you give it a little bit of time to cool down. And I'm going to go and get this in. And then I'm going to go and get this screw started. I'm going to just turn it by hand. And then I'm going to put this on. And you see the gun wanting to turn on me. So you got to hold it nice and tight. Sometimes you have to throw a washer on there, depending on the application. And it looks like this battery might be starting to go, or I need to dial down this set. Put a little more pressure on that. There we go. So now I got that head nice and flush. This would not drive and sink in. And now this is together with a lag bolt.